Hey everyone! Are you a concert photographer that has to deal with small spaces? Do you deal with crappy lighting like this? And like this? I'm Robert Maxfield and I'm a concert photographer in Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas. And today I'm going to show you some of the small venues in which we have photographed over the last couple years and show you some of the difficult lighting conditions that we've had to deal with. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you and show you how we cure some of the lighting conditions for like pink and blue, and let you see that at the very end of the video. So hold tight and we're going to get this underway. As a general rule, we do not shoot a lot of small venues. I don't know, for some reason. I've always been an arena kind of convention center kind of guy. And but recently, over the last couple of years, we've shot some smaller venues. And the first one I'm going to show you is a place called Rancho Loma Vineyards, Rancho Loma Vineyards, and I keep getting it mixed up. But anyway, this place is in Fort Worth, just south of downtown. And the artist that we shot was on a stage that was probably 6 foot by 6 foot. It was done in a courtyard, and the sun was just over the top. It was outdoors, and the sun was just coming over the edge of the top of the roof. So at the first part of the show, half his body was in sunlight and the other half of him was in shade, which you can imagine makes things a little difficult. The first artist we're going to show you is Zach Webb, and if you've never seen or heard Zach is probably the hardest working musician in Texas. He crisscrosses Texas more than the planes do at DFW Airport, and one hell of a really nice, fun guy. He's really awesome. But in this case, he was one of my first Instagram followers, and I made a point to see him whenever he got close. And we drove from the west side of Irving to Fort Worth, which is probably about 35 miles, 40 miles to this place in South Fort Worth, just to see him. And here's an example of the photograph we got from him. It's in that courtyard. It's a real small venue, and they had wine and water and some different kinds of cheeses, and a really good time with Zach. So take a look at this, and you can see the settings I put with the photograph, and that'll give you an idea of what it took to get this kind of work. There's two photographs I'm going to show you now, and this was in a very unusual place. It was shot in an alley behind Jimmy Wallace's guitar shop in Garland. And if you've never heard of Jimmy Wallace, Jimmy runs a thing called the Dallas International Guitar Festival, and it is a mecca for you name it. You'll be sitting there, and Carlos Santana will be walking down the aisle right next to you, and things like that. So it's you'll be sitting there at a booth with Ted Nugent, and some of the people that play in this is incredible. But this shot is done at his shop, behind his shop in the alley, and it just shows you what you can do with natural lighting coming over the top of the building. And one of the things that made this kind of difficult is his attire, his guitar, and his complexion kind of blend in with the wall that's sitting there. Also, the next picture is also from the same set, and this is of Rachel Stacey, and this is one of my favorites of Rachel. Rachel's just plain amazing, and same kind of thing, same kind of lighting. The venue itself is between two buildings, and the stage is probably 6 inches high, and maybe, I guess 10, 12, 15 feet in each direction. And in the alleyway, you probably have room for 30, 40 people max. There's some chairs and some tables, if I remember right. But it's one of the more unusual places to photograph anyone. Well, you talk about kind of difficult lighting. The the next photo I've got is of Wanda King, and Wanda King is the daughter of blues legend Freddie King, and can't get more special than that. So the problem with this particular venue was it was the public library in Hurst, Texas. Okay, that sounds really weird, and I was shocked with it too. But they had a room that was like a meeting room, and it was 105, 110 degrees outside, and she was with Buddy Whittington, and they decided they didn't want to play out in the heat, and you can't really blame them. So what they did is they had Hearst Public Library set up the meeting room, and the room probably had seats for 100 people, I would guess. And but it was definitely no fancy lighting. One side of the room was all windows. It was very unusual, but the lighting was fairly difficult to shoot in. So, but this is one of the photographs we've got, and the settings that I got from the photograph for the photograph is there. And not always are you going to get someplace like a dark club, a uh, someplace that's like a bar. There is a you're going to find yourself sometimes in places you might not expect. And trust me, the Hearst Public Library was not one I expected. When I was a kid, the first album I ever bought in my whole life was Life and Times by Jim Croce. And I love Jim Croce's music. The storytelling was amazing. The music was fantastic. And one day I'm riding the train into downtown Dallas, and I hear, I look on my phone, and there is an ad for Croce Plays Croce, and AJ Croce, Jim's son, was going to do a show in 3 days at the Capel Arts Center, and I got to hurry for this one. And I got a hold of them, and they said, "Great, you get the first three songs. You're from the soundboard. The venue holds 400 people. Uh, it was one of the most fantastic opportunities and fantastic shows I've probably ever seen." Um, the photographs I'm going to show are of AJ from the soundboard, and we were brought in, escorted in. I was shown where I'd be shooting and what my boundaries and my limitations were, and from there, we we were told that we would be picked up after the first three songs, and we would be escorted to an area in the auditorium that the family was sitting in. So we, once I was finished, um, I was escorted up there. Julie had already been taken and moved into that position and was sitting with the family of the musicians. So that was unbelievably cool, and good lighting. It's like I'm being on a stage, kind of stage show, like a play or something. But fantastic venue in an art center in Capel. I was just floored. But trust me, after I was through with the first three songs, they wouldn't let me touch my camera from there. I had to leave out the auditorium with my camera and go to the restroom and look at the photographs to make sure everything was good. And man, I'm telling you, in this photograph, you will this slide you will have my settings, a picture of AJ at the piano, and this is one of the cooler venues. It's very kind of ritzy, artsy kind of thing. It's definitely a real neat place. Okay, if you stayed here this long, you've earned it. Because now we're going to talk about crappy lighting and really small venue. Great people, awesome. They let us do pretty much whatever we want. And what we did is there was a place in the Toyota Music Factory in Las Colinas called Mama Tried, and they've recently moved to a new location in the same complex. But their stage was probably 10 by 12 at the max. And the pictures I'm going to show you are the first ones are pink and blue. The lighting they had was pink and it was blue. And the wall, it was a Texas flag. So it was red, white, and blue. But with the pink and blue light, you can just imagine what it looks like. So Justin had probably, he had a four-piece, one, two, three. He had a four-piece band. I've seen him up there with a five-piece band because he gets his. Sometimes he travels with a keyboard player, and but this time there were four people up there, and imagine those four people in a 12 by 15 or 12 by 12 kind of room. Mama Tried is actually, it's a bar. It's in Las Colinas, Irving, Texas, and it's got pool tables and a stuffed moose on the wall called Moose Willis, and that's what he's named. And what I'm going to show you is these two pictures, and then I'm going to show you the corrected picture, and you can look at the settings to see what is different. What I want you to look at mainly in this photograph is to look at the color temperature and where it is on the first picture and where it is on the finished product, and that will give you the big hint is how I corrected for the pink and the blue. One of the things I'd like to say is not always is a small venue a bar and that's it. Sometimes a small venue is exactly some place that has less than 30 to 400 people. And they come in all shapes and sizes. And what you do to photograph them in those environments is unique to each environment. So typically, I don't change a lot of things if I don't have to, and sometimes you have to make some radical adjustments. It just depends on what happens. Like one of the things we knew in the past was ISO invariance, and that we could underexpose 3 to 4 stops in one location, and when we did, it pays off because you don't have to jack that ISO all the way up and have noise and blow out your highlights. You can actually have dynamic range in your photograph that you wouldn't have otherwise. So it makes a huge difference. I'd like to give a shout out to a band that we shot last night, the Mixtape Memoirs Band. Memoirs is, Mixtape Memoirs Band. Yeah, I was like, wow, okay. That was kind of a cool name. It was at a place called the Hang Time Grill and Bar in Rowlett, Texas. Man, I wish it wasn't so far away because they have incredible chicken fingers and French fries, and the cheesecake was incredible. Everybody treated us fantastic last night, and shout out goes to those guys, and we thank you, and we'll see you next week. Bye.